Hi, this is Avinash Sharma, and in this session, we will discuss the difference between the execute statement and system store procedure spExecuteSql. The purpose of the execute statement and the system procedure spExecuteSql is the same. Both execute the SQL statement at the runtime, but there are some basic difference between the two. So first of all, we check this difference. So first difference, spExecuteSql. If you use this one, then you can define the parameters and supply the parameters for the dynamic query. But in case of the execute statement, you can't supply or you can't define the parameter. Then, in case of the system procedure spExecuteSql, the parameters are the strongly typed parameters. That's why the possibility of the SQL injection is reduced. But in case of the execute statement, the parameters are not strongly typed and defined. That's why there is a possibility of the SQL injection. And finally, in case of the system procedure means spExecuteSql, this creates a execution plan, and on re-execution of this procedure, it uses the same plan which has been created recently. But in case of the execute statement, it creates every time a new execution plan and uses that one. Now, we will check the difference between the execute statement and the system procedure ExecuteSql with practical. So we have a query, and first of all we check the table. We have a table that is the employee 2, and we check the data in this table. So we have the MPID, date of join, first name, last name, education ID, salary, join year, department, city ID. Now we have a variable that is the query, and type is the envarchar length 1000, and the second variable f name envarchar then 100. In the second variable f name, we have assigned the value that is the John, but in the query variable we have assigned the whole query. Because we are not executing this query directly, we are creating or we are designing the query in a string, and this string we assign to the variable that is the query. Now we have a statement, and we have two options, execute and using the system procedure ExecuteSql. First of all, we'll check the execute statement. We can write execute. So say if I say execute, then I found the record with the name John, first name John. If I check the query, print, then this is the select star from employee where first name equal to John. This John, you check, this value is wrapped with the single quote. Rather than using the execute the whole word, you can use the first four characters of the execute. Say if I write, say so I try. So if you write execute or exe, both are the same. Now, but with this situation or with this coding, we have a problem. There is a possibility of the SQL injection. What is the SQL injection? Using the SQL injection, you can insert the another SQL statement in the dynamic query. How? Suppose I have a database that is a test, and I replace the John with the say drop database test. This is another statement, not a value, but I am passing this statement as a value of the parameter. What will happen? Say if I try this statement, execute, and now message. So you can see drop database. This is a statement, and this statement is not wrapped with the single quotes. So SQL Server will take as it will consider this value as a statement. Now we check the database, refresh, and now you can check the test database gone. This is called the SQL injection. So how to avoid this kind of situation, or how to avoid the SQL injection if you are using the execute statement? You can use the quote name. Say Because quote name wrap the value single quote. Every time if you wrap the value, then the possibility of the SQL injection is reduced. So how to do that one? Quote name. This quote name, the SQL function will wrap the value of this parameter in a single quote. Now, if we are using the quote name, then we don't require this one. Now, if I try this statement, now I create the test database. New database, test. This is done now. Now I try this one, execute and refresh database. So test database is still there because if we check the query, now this is the actual query. Select star from employee to where first name and this statement. Now the SQL server will take this statement as a value because this is wrapped in a single code. So this is how you can avoid the SQL injection using the execute statement. Now we check as we discussed. In case of the execute statement, it creates every time a new execution plan if you change the value of the parameter. So we check this one. First of all, we clear caching. Say now the value of the parameter is the Linda. So we execute this one, and now we check. We have this statement to check the plan. Now, so this is our query. Adobe compile plan. Select star from employee to, and we check the plan. So in this plan, you can check the query is the select star from employee to where first name equal to Linda, hard coded. Now we change the value of the variable, say make it John. Now again execute and now check this one. Now so this is our second plan. We check this. Now in this plan, execute plan, we have the query first name equal to John. It means whenever you change the value of the parameters, so every time it creates a new execution plan and use that one. And if you keep the value of the parameter the same, say this is the John. Now I execute this one again, no change in the value of the parameter. Execute. Now we check plan. So John, this one. So you can see. So this is the same plan. You can check the query. This plan was created the first time when we supplied the value of the parameter John. So if you supply the same value for the parameter, so it will use the recently created execution plan. Otherwise, if it is a new parameter, then it will create the new execution plan and use that. Now we check how and why to use the system procedure execute SQL. Sometimes like we require that the value of the parameter should be changed at the runtime so that we can supply the every time the new value to that query. So in that case, we can use this one, system procedure execute SQL, because in this procedure we can define the list of the parameters and their values. Okay, so the syntax is execute, then name of the procedure, and the first parameter is the variable, the variable which holds the query. So now we change this one, fname, then this one. And now we don't require this one. Suppose if I execute this one, so we have an error. This variable fname must be declared. Okay, so it means we have to supply this variable with the value. Okay, so comma I'm using the and because the data type of query is the and varchar. So this one, say f name, then data type and varchar, comma, close, then comma, and the value of this parameter, say f name equal to John. So here we are wrapping this value in single quotes. It means the possibility of the SQL injection almost reduced. Okay. If I execute this one, so we get the answer. We get the result because we are supplying the value for this variable from the execute procedure. And the second difference was the system procedure creates only one execution plan and uses that plan on the re-execution of the code. Okay, we check this one. So first of all, we clear this one, free proc cache. Now, so we execute this one. Now we check plan. So if we check this query, so you can see in this query, there is no hard-coded value because the value will be replaced at the runtime. We check the plan. On the plan, we have the query from employee to where first name equal to the name of the parameter. So when you execute this statement, this procedure first time, then it will create the plan only once. After that, onwards, on the re-execution of this procedure, it will use the recently created the plan. Will not create the new plan, even if you change the parameter. Say, if I change the value of the parameter, say Linda. Now, execute and check plan. So, now you can see. So this this procedure is using the same plan which has been created recently for the first time. So the performance of the system procedure ExecuteSql is better than the execute statement because execute statement creates every time a new execution plan if you change the parameter value. So guys, this was all about the difference between the execute statement and the system procedure ExecuteSql. Thanks for watching the video.